So what's going on physically, what's going on emotionally, what's your life story? Kind of like you interviewing me, I'd interview, more or less, I'd interview my students, or I'll ask questions. Being a mother showed me, allowed me to take a step back, to be more than to do.
Welcome to this new episode, and today I am here with Tal. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Very nice. So Tal is a very well-known yoga teacher in Koh Phangan. So first of all, I'd like to ask you, what is your journey in life?
I started yoga at 16, and it was, I wanted it. I didn't know what it was, but I wanted it. I was looking for it. And I found it right next to my house, and I felt immediately, like from the first class, I felt at home. I felt like finally I'm where I'm supposed to be. And if I go back now into why I wasn't feeling, generally I wasn't feeling comfortable in my body. I wasn't feeling comfortable so much at my home. By the time I was 16, it was better because, I was older. But I was born with, I don't know, something was happening in my lungs. Maybe they were underdeveloped or something. And I had bronchitis, which means a lot of coughing and a lot of lung infections. And then this also influences the posture. You can imagine to be really what we call kyphotic and protective. And I was very happy, very stubborn, very, strong-minded girl, but still I had this. And then I had many things to deal with, like with my family, and my grandmother was sick, and I was there a lot, and I missed school for that, and then she passed away when I was 8. And then when I was 9, my father got murdered, which is, it's crazy. It was a robbery, and he was murdered. So it was shocking, and so, one thing added to another, and there were more things I don't remember. My body was always aching. Then I had I didn't process it at all, the trauma. So I had lots of, I didn't cry also. So I had lots of stomach issues and pain in the knees and so many things. I see it now in hindsight, I see, and I have been through therapy and all of that, and then I didn't see that anything was wrong. I was struggling, but I didn't feel that anything was wrong. I just felt uncomfortable. And then I had this calling to look for yoga when I was 16, and then I found it, and that's it. And I practiced 4 times a week. This was my everything. And from there, I didn't believe I could be a yoga teacher because I was... I didn't feel strong in my body, and at 21 I already did my TTC. It was my dream. Since I don't know how early in the practice there, but I wanted to be a yoga teacher. I just couldn't believe it could happen. And then I came back from India. I had after the army I'm from Israel. We all do the army, women too. This was also traumatic. But normal, it's our normal. And then, so I came back from India, and there was TTC of Shivananda, And the first classes that I was in was Shivananda, and then I bought a book, and this was Shivananda, and another book, and it's Shivananda. It was all coincidental. I wasn't looking for Shivananda. Just came to me. Also the TTC, I was like, it's 1 month, I just came back from India. This is the money I have left from saving for the trip. I'll do it. And yeah, it was all perfect like this.
You know, you said that it happened, in sequence, so to speak, and you found the Shivananda tradition, which is very beautiful. And actually, I'm also trained in Shivananda in Madurai, yes, and I've been to the ashram in Kerala. I also been to the one in France. And I really like the Shivananda tradition because it's very thorough and very traditional, isn't it? So everybody dressed in a certain way during the TTC, separation girls and boys, getting up very early and doing all the types of yoga, the karma, the bhakti, the raja. Yeah. It's really a good foundation for yoga, Shivananda, isn't it? So basically the story is that now you did your military service, you are fully trained as a, first level yoga teacher,
But when I wanted to start teaching, it was always like, who are you? What do you know? You're a baby. I looked 12. I looked so young. And I was very shy, but persistent. I didn't care. So I started teaching. I was shy, but full of ambition. And I taught friends for like very little money. Still for the exchange, to take myself seriously. So I taught friends, and then this was for a few months, and then I went back to India, and I started teaching. Maybe not a year, maybe less than a year after, I started teaching regularly in a center there. I think it still exists. It's called One Nest in Dharamsala. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing experience. The classes were full. Like people would have to, go away. How do you say? Like they came, they tried to go in. It was full. They had to leave and come back early the next day. I was teaching daily, and it was such an empowering experience. As like, and the first class I taught, I had no voice. Like my friend in the back said, like, you can't, like we can't hear you. Like speak up. And I was like, and I had the asanas written, which is, if you know Shivananda, it's 12 asanas. I've been practicing it for a very long time. I was freaking out. And I'm very shy. I was very shy, and but it was so empowering, so uplifting, and I got confused, like with the pranayama, and I asked students which side I am, and I was like all over the place. But it worked. Something worked, and
so basically you had this opportunity in Dharamsala to teach lots of people every day. So that was certainly empowering, as you said. That's the word you use, indeed, and must be so satisfying as well. Because when you're teaching yoga, I don't have not even close to the experience you have, but I did teach some yoga when I was working in Orion and Samoa and in other places. And it's such a lovely thing because it's a way to connect with people energetically at a different level, isn't it? Yeah. And when they follow the sequence and you feel like you put together a good class, the feeling of satisfaction is not like a normal job, right? No. So you're stepping out of the class and you know that you've done something which resembles magic almost, because some people feel remarkably different. There is a certain connection. I really love it. And of course, so you decided, okay, this is for me now. And what's the next step?
But then after that, I got an email from one of my teachers to come to the ashram in the Bahamas.
Okay.
And I went. I had no money. I borrowed the money for the ticket from my brother, and never paid him back, by the way. But I borrowed it, and I went and then my grandfather gave me $100 note, and that's it. This is all that I had. And I went there, and I was a staff for 7 months.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very intense. You work every day. It's karma yoga practice. You work every day and you teach as well. I worked in the kitchen, which was amazing, with my teacher, which was also a karma yogi. And And I was teaching, and yeah, it was extremely intense. You can imagine, not one day off, and in seven months, not one day off. No.
So that's really dedication, yeah?
It's
you need to have a
dedication.
strong passion for something like that, otherwise you wouldn't last 7 months.
No.
Yeah.
And you know, some people, like in every organization, some people, they find the way not to work.
Yeah.
I was like, give me more. I had a
okay.
burnout at the end. I had to leave. They offered me to stay, which was very generous, like to become permanent stuff, but I really felt like I need my sanity. And with the kind of character that I had, which is very eager and ambitious, and it's just too much. It's just too much. So I left, and then I came actually to Orion here in Koh Phangan. I'm pointing like it's here, but I came to Orion, and Dalia was my friend. She still is, from India. We've met during that time in Dharamsala. She came to my class. She didn't connect. I think she came for 1 or 2 classes. She didn't connect much because she's into Ashtanga, and but we connected. So we met on the street one day, and she said she's a Reiki master, and so I did my Reiki master with her in Dharamsala, which was then exactly what I needed. And yeah, and then the year passed, and we kept connecting, and then one of the times that we emailed, she said, come over, like we need, or we have volunteer opportunities and we want to go, and maybe you can help us to stay. The center was then very small, beautiful and small, on the beach, of course, on the same location. And I came and I volunteered, and it was amazing. Koh Phangan was very different. Was empty. There were like the only Israelis. I mean, she's not Israeli, she's half Israeli. Her husband is also half Israeli. So there were like the only Israelis I've met in Koh Phangan. Imagine that.
Now there's a very large community in India.
Wow. Yeah. So, and the only one with kids also. The one kid they had, Leon. And yeah, and then I fell in love.
With the island, yeah?
With the island.
And then that was 6-7 years ago? Or
this was 2010.
2010, 12 years ago. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So and then you kept on coming and going from Koh Phangan and just.
And then yeah, I mean they wanted then to expand, and they wanted to go to. So I hope it's okay. I speak on their behalf, but they wanted to go to Samui for education for Leon, because there was nothing here. Mm-hmm. And so they were looking for a manager and for somebody to be part of the business, and they offered this very generously. They offered this to me, but I wanted to learn more. I wanted to go back to Israel after traveling, and I wanted to learn yoga therapy, which I did. I was already enlisted to this yoga therapy training, and I said no. It was very hard to say no, but I said no to my dream life, and I went into further education, and yeah, and so I kept coming back there to Orion mostly, but then after that also for Sama Karuna, and I taught in Sama Karuna. I got a beautiful opportunity to teach my first yoga therapy training.
Oh, okay.
Which was amazing, and then in Sama Karuna, actually, I met a friend, and he offered to open a place together here, and I said, yeah, sure.
Was it an Indian guy?
Yes. This was Ajay.
Ajay, that's his name, yes, I remember now.
But this was 5 years after. So I went to Israel for 5 years. I worked my ass off. I was teaching 3 to 4 classes a day, working weekends, of course, same pattern, right? Practicing like crazy. Then I got some sort of a burnout as well, driving a lot from class to class, from country club or gym to gym. I was so busy.
Yes, that's the sort of the yoga teacher, city-based yoga teacher lifestyle, right? When you have many classes. I used to work in London as a cover for people like you, so they would have maybe 10-15 classes a week. and sometimes they couldn't be bothered to go to one class, so they would have some covers and at the last minute switch. Yes.
That's nice.
But
I never did that, but that's nice.
But it's a tough life, isn't it? Because also, of course, living in a big city, at the time I was in London, you get paid £30 for a yoga class. So it's not even so much money,
No.
you know, living in London. So in Israel, you were in Tel Aviv or?
No, I wasn't in Tel Aviv. I was in a village, very nice one. But then I had to drive everywhere.
Oh, okay.
So Israel is quite small, full of traffic, quite small, and so you can go very easily to a few cities.
Okay.
So yeah, I was driving, and then when I wasn't teaching, I needed the extra money for this very nice house that I had in the country.
Right.
Very simple, but it's expensive there, and so I was babysitting as well.
Okay, on top of it all, yeah. Tal, tell me about Gaia. So because that's where I sort of met you. I don't know if you remember, probably
I remember.
you don't. But I came to a couple of, I signed up to these these sort of tickets where you could have like 10 classes in Gaia Yoga School on Bovi Beach.
Yes.
And it was, I just moved to Koh Phangan my first year, and I loved the vibe there. There were a bunch of volunteers, lots of interesting international people, and the classes were amazing. And I said, wow, this is a great place. Because I was looking, you know, where shall I sign up to yoga? And then I did Gaia.
Yeah.
So tell me the project there and how it developed into Luna, and what are you doing now?
Gaia was a creation or this partnership that I've decided with Ajay.
Mm-hmm.
My friend, he was then a very good friend, and we decided to open it together. And then I was here teaching in Samakaruna. I was here teaching in Samakaruna, and then he said, "Let's open a center. Like, I'm serious now." And I said, "Sure, I'm serious too." He wanted to do it in India. I said, "No, I want to do it here." He came here very spontaneously, from one day to the next. He came here from India, and we said, let's look for a place. And so then I remembered that years ago, when I was in Orion, there was this Shakti swap clothes thingy, and it was there. And I just had the image of the place, and I could not connect it to where it was. I was only cycling then also. I didn't drive a bike, so everything looked different. And then I went into the Street New 7-Eleven, and I met somebody that I knew from that time, and I asked him, "Where is that chala?" And he told me it was the Bovi Shala, and he guided me there very easily. And we went, and it was there empty. I was like, "This is mine."
Perfect.
Perfect. And then we went to talk to the guy in charge of it, and he said, "I was waiting for you." His name is Yadras. And I was like, "What do you mean you've been waiting for us?" I said, "I had a dream. I knew it was you." He's very connected.
Wow, everything like
guy,
happening.
Yeah, he's amazing. And so I don't remember exactly. I think Ajay had to go again and sign everything, but this was ours. Ajay wanted something bigger, but I said, "I don't know what this is. I know it's mine. This is mine." And so, we took this place.
Cool. And you started doing TTCs there as well, or not, only
TTCs,
dropping classes first?
At the beginning, it was a center. I wanted the ashram environment.
Yeah.
And so we had volunteers. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was really alive, and we had many, many volunteers, and many stayed for 1 month. I mean, they had to stay for 1 month or longer, which is really creating a sense of a community.
Yeah.
And again, I worked very hard, maybe too hard. But like I picked every teacher. I was there most of the day. I was behind the scenes. Like sometimes people didn't know I was the owner, but I feel that this was really me, this place. And after a year, we took it for 5 years, and after a year there was a situation that we had to leave. And the Bovi family very kindly had offered to build us another shala, which I think is now Shakti there. But I was so attached to this place, and I was so, I felt like I couldn't move and do it again. I was like, it's been 1 year or 1 year and a little bit, and I've been ready to take a step back, and then if I open another center, it means I need to step it up again.
Okay. So of course you gave lots of energy into this place, and then you needed a time off basically to recharge yourself before you went on to the next project. And Luna came 1 or 2 years later, or?
So we decided to just keep, or I decided to just keep the TTCs. Ajay was already in India, he wasn't here, and his brother worked here with me, and then after a while I've decided I wanted to go on my own. I couldn't take the name, and I gave it a new name.
Yeah, very nice.
But it's the same, it's me.
And you've been in Pranayama Garden mostly, is that right?
So then when we left, also very magical, when we had to leave the location, the Bovi Beach, Pat, the owner of Pranayama Garden and of Art Cafe, she offered Ajay to build us a place. And we said yes. And so I went there and I talked to her and her husband, which is an architect.
Yes.
And I told him what I wanted, and I got it.
Very nice. And then you started doing regular TTCs there?
No, not so regular, 3 a year.
Okay, 3 years, nice. And that's leading up to sort of COVID, so to speak.
And so then we stopped being Gaia, and I started being Luna.
Yeah.
And then, so the years passed until 2019 or 20, actually. The last one was in, right? Yeah, 2020.
Just before
COVID. So
COVID.
I had a course in 2020, and we had to cut it in the middle.
Yeah.
Which was very
strange.
Strange.
Okay, and so in the meantime, of course, you had a baby.
No, I had the baby only after.
So
during Corona time, I had the baby.
So up until now, so you had this time where you were maternity leave, and now how old is the baby?
She's 1.5 years.
Very nice. So, and I know that I saw you posting that you started teaching again recently. Is that right?
So I was always teaching, not teaching, but kind of, I don't like to call it coaching. I'm not coaching. I'm teaching yoga, but in conversations.
Okay.
So this I kept. Then slowly I started to do yoga therapy consultations again at home. And also I teach now classes in yoga house. And but I take it really, really easy.
That's nice. So what are, first of all, let's go into a little bit into yoga therapy, because of course there are many styles of yoga. Yoga therapy is not a style of yoga, it's more like a way of looking at yoga in a therapeutic way, right?
Exactly.
So can you tell us what is your sort of definition of yoga therapy and how you go about it?
So it's very physical. Also when I teach anatomy, it's physical. But it takes the body and the human, it takes the human, the person as a whole. It doesn't just take, like a physiotherapist, you have a pain in your knee, okay, let's see the knee, or the doctor refers you to a physiotherapist and they work on the knee. We see you, and then what's going on with the knee. So what's going on physically, what's going on emotionally, what's your life story? Kind of like you interviewing me, I'd interview, more or less, I'd interview my students, or I'll ask questions.
Yeah.
It depends on what they want. If they want like the full procedure, or just they want to work on the knee, but I will ask questions, or I will give hints that like your knee is asking you for this, or...
Okay.
So my yoga therapy is very physical, but it goes everywhere.
Yeah, because the body is connected with the mind and the soul as well in a certain way, I suppose.
And everything is emotional at the end. Physical is the expression of the emotional. So I focus on the physical, but then the emotional come and we handle.
That's very interesting. So what are, first of all, why you still love Koh Phangan, although you've been here for a long time, and what are your plans here for the near future or the distance future in Koh Phangan or elsewhere?
So I feel at home here. Sorry. I just feel at home. When you come to a place and you feel at home, you probably feel it too.
Yes.
And it's keep changing. We mentioned it before we start recording that every year, or every season, or it's just changing, and we need to keep it up or not. But then, so it's home. It's not always easy, but it's the place I love. It's the place I can be free. I love nature. I love the international community. This is something that is very important to me.
Yeah.
And I love that my daughter is growing up here with many cultures, and what I love most, and I want to give her this as well, is the freedom to be yourself. Wear whatever you want. You can do whatever you want or not do whatever you want. You can socialize with whoever you want. So I really, really appreciate that, and I need that. I need this sense of freedom in my life.
Sure. It's the Buddhist culture that hosts us, but also the island is very special, because it has a history of freedom, possibly because of the parties, back in the days, crazy parties still now. And our community is very open indeed, and that's a lovely place to be if freedom is important to you.
Yeah.
And professionally, in terms of yoga, any plans?
So I have many plans, and they didn't ripen yet. I would like to have my own space again. I need to see exactly where and with who. I want to go back into TTCs also. Everything is very slow now, and my ambition is gone. Now I have inspiration. I think I'm very happy that I was so ambitious and I pushed forward. It's a lot of effort. And being a mother, also I was evolving into that, but being a mother showed me, allowed me to take a step back, to be more than to do, to accept, it's a lot softer. I became a lot softer, and so it's now inspiration, and like my old self would have pushed through and tried to find a new place and I don't know, and make things happen, But my new self is just waiting for things to come. And they always came, like throughout the story, you could see things always came to me, and I trust it. Sometimes I'm like impatient, like yalla, I'm ready.
Your fiery side is still there, although not as developed as before, right? It's more, it's mellow now, more mellow, more accepting.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of the ambition, the way maybe you describe is that you going forward and trying to achieve and pushing for things, whereas acceptance, or like the more phase of your life you're now, is that you are there, you're ready, you're strong and present, but then opportunities come to you and then you'll be able to select them without having to push so much, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
It's absolutely right. I've always been, I'm complex in that way. I've never advertised myself, let's say before. I was waiting for students to come somehow, and they came. I had many students, many yoga therapy students, many studios. It came, but at the same time, I don't know how to explain exactly, but I did push. It was, my energy was coming from here.
The center, the core.
The center, like, let's go, let's do it. And I'm very happy with the way things went, but it's also very exhausting and depleting, and now all my energy goes, like the same kind of softer, but the same kind of energy goes to my daughter, to Sophia. Finally, I embody what I knew before, that you need to teach also from inspiration and not from ambition. And when you teach from ambition, or when you treat from ambition, then you know something. And when you were teaching from ambition, from inspiration, or you're present with inspiration, then you're allowing.
Yeah.
And so my life kind of shifted into that.
Well, Tal, thank you very much. I really
you.
enjoyed learning about your story, and I wish you the best for everything.
Thank
So
you
let's
very
keep in
much.
touch. Kapun kap.
Thank you very much. Thank you.